When you think of Annabelle, you probably picture a doll that looks like this. But you would be wrong. This is the real face of Annabelle. Hi, my name is Jill, and this is why I can't sleep. Before I start, I do want to acknowledge that there has been a death in Annabelle's orbit recently, and I want to say that I'm not going to speak on that or speculate about it at all. So let's start with a little background on this doll. This is my personal Raggedy Ann doll. She was gifted to me in 1985 by my mother, along with her brother, Raggedy Andy. They're on the bed. They are symbols of love. They're very sweet and cuddly. They have never misbehaved. Nothing is allowed to occupy them or inhabit them in any way. They're just a lovely memento from my mother. They're very well behaved, and I assume that they're going to stay that way. If you want an idea of the scale of the actual Annabelle doll, these dolls are actually the same size. The original owner of Annabelle was a woman named Donna. She was gifted the doll by her mother for graduating nursing school. At the time, she lived with a woman named Angie, and Angie had a boyfriend named Lou. Most of the paranormal activity centers around these three people. Just a note, I've been listening to so many ghost stories lately, and I shouldn't because I can't sleep later and I get freaked out. And right now, while I'm trying to record, there are so many flies in this room, and I've heard that's like a bad sign. And I don't know why all of a sudden there are flies. We don't generally have flies. And my camera keeps flipping around, so we'll see how this goes. Back to Donna and Annabelle. Now, Donna loved the doll. She slept with it. She kept it on the bed during the day when she was gone. But slowly, subtle things started to happen with the doll. When Donna would leave for work, she would leave the Raggedy Ann doll on her bed with its arms to its side and its legs straight out. But when she would return, she would often find the doll with its legs crossed or its hands in its lap. And pretty soon, she and Angie began to test the doll. They would take note of its position before they left the house and check on it again when they returned. And in fact, it did appear that the doll was moving. In fact, in one case, they came home and found the doll in a kneeling position as if to greet them. Later, they tried to recreate this movement and they couldn't get the doll to stand up on its own because it's a Raggedy Ann doll. It's made of cloth. There's no internal structure. It's not meant to stand on its own. As time went on, the doll's movements became more and more noticeable. It began moving from room to room. So on one occasion, they would leave the doll on the couch, and then they would come home to find it in the bedroom with the door shut. Or they would leave it in the bedroom and come home to find it in the living room. So the doll was really beginning to amp up its activity. And then they began to discover, and when I say they, I mean Angie, Lou, and Donna began to find messages written around the house. The messages appeared to be written in pencil on parchment paper, and it was clearly a child's handwriting. But when they looked around the house, they could not find pencils, they could not find parchment paper. The messages would often say, "Help me," or "Help," or "Help Lou," Angie's boyfriend. So the trio was kind of starting to get freaked out by all of this, as anyone would be. One day when Donna picked up the doll, she found 3 drops of blood on the back of the doll's hand and some drops of blood on the doll's chest. And some reports say when she squeezed the doll's hand that the blood kind of, I don't know if it's blood, it's a red liquid, but the liquid seemed to ooze out of the doll's skin. Another report I found said that Donna started bringing the doll to the breakfast table for some reason, and that they reported that the doll would raise and lower its arms onto the table. So to deal with this activity, Angie and Donna called a medium, and they held a seance. and this is where they meet Annabelle. So the medium reaches a spirit called Annabelle. Annabelle claims to be a little girl who died near the apartment building where Angie and Donna lived. Some reports say that Annabelle claimed to have died in a car accident. Other people claim that she was just found in a field there and there's no cause of death, so who knows. And apparently Annabelle felt very happy and safe with Donna and Angie because they were young and fun and they had this cute doll, and Annabelle really loved the doll and she wanted to kind of be a family with Donna and Angie, and she asked for permission to live in the Raggedy Ann doll. And Angie and Donna said yes. So Donna and Angie begin to kind of treat the doll like she is a little girl. They buy her little gifts, they talk to her. One thing I saw said that actually like a little chocolate boot. So I don't know if that means like a shoe or if it's like I don't know. But they said a little chocolate boot appeared at Christmas time and no one claimed to have bought it. So they assumed it was Annabelle giving them a gift back and thanks for letting her inhabit the doll. So while all this is going on, Lou is not having it. He's like, nope, there's something wrong with the doll. You guys are crazy to give anything permission to live in the doll. I do not like this doll. And suddenly, Lou began having terrible night terrors. One night, he awoke to feeling completely paralyzed, with the Raggedy Ann doll standing at his feet. The doll then slowly moved her way up his body and wrapped her little cloth hands around his throat, and he felt like he was being strangled with the full force of a human person. The day after this incident, Angie and Lou were planning for a road trip. So they were at the apartment that Angie and Donna lived at, and they were studying maps because it was the 70s. Nobody had GPS yet, right? So they're studying these maps for their road trip, and all of a sudden they hear a scuffle coming from Donna's room. It sounds like someone has broken into the house. So Lou goes to the bedroom to check it out. When he opens the door, he finds nothing out of place except for Annabelle, who is lying in a corner as though she had been tossed aside. Lou approached the doll and had the eerie sensation that someone was standing behind him. And pretty soon he was doubled over in pain with an intense burning in his chest. Suddenly his shirt was stained with blood and 7 claw marks appeared on his back. Now, according to Angie, Lou, and Donna, the marks cleared up within a day or two. So they appeared and they disappeared just as quickly. So Donna finally contacts an Episcopalian priest for help with this problem, and the priest puts them in touch with Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are infamous paranormal experts. They are the stars of the Conjuring movies. They've been portrayed many, many times on film. There's a lot of information out there about them. I would take, honestly, this story and any story involving the Warrens with a grain of salt. So when Angie met the Warrens, she asked them, can't we just move? Leave the doll behind? Let's get out of here. And the Warrens said, no, you can't move. You can't get away from it. It's not a spirit. It's a demon. The seance you had, that riled it all up. And now you're stuck with this demon. But we'll help you. According to the Warrens, the doll wasn't really the problem. The doll was a vessel. Like Chucky in the Chucky movies, the good guy doll really isn't the problem. The problem is the serial killer who inhabits one of the good guy dolls. So the problem is the demon, not the doll. And the doll will follow them because the demon is actually attached to them. Upon meeting the trio, Ed Warren said that within 3 weeks, one of them would likely be possessed by the doll. Well, not the doll, the spirit. Ed also said that the trio had brought this whole thing on themselves because they paid attention to the doll. So according to Ed Warren, if you have a demon, you should ignore it. Don't give it attention. It's like a theater kid. It just wants attention. And giving it attention is only going to make it worse. So the Warrens exorcised the doll. They exorcised Angie and Donna and Lou. They sprayed holy water everywhere, and they offered to take the doll off their hands. And of course, the three agree. Yes, please take the doll. So when the Warrens were on the way home, they decided to take back roads instead of very busy highways because they were nervous about what the doll would do. And according to them, their power steering and brakes failed multiple times on their way home. So the third time their brakes fail, Ed's had enough. He's an angry father, and he throws holy water into the back seat on Annabelle like he's swatting a bad kid, and apparently that stops her. She straightens up. They're good for the rest of the ride home. At first, the Warrens kept Annabelle. Oh my gosh, there's flies. Ah. At first, the Warrens kept Annabelle. It's another fly. I'm not kidding. We don't have flies. Okay. So at first, the Warrens kept Annabelle in Ed's office, which was separate from the main house. But then they would often find her sitting in Ed's easy chair. It seemed like she liked to provoke Ed a lot. Another trick up Annabelle's sleeve was that she could make a black cat appear. So sometimes a black cat would appear by the doll's side, walk around, return to the doll, and then disappear from the head down. Ed and Lorraine did some follow-up work with Annabelle, and they contacted some priests. And when the priests would be in the house, they would hear like low growling. And once Lorraine claimed that between two messages from two different priests on her answering machine was a message of just guttural growling sounds. Apparently, on one occasion, a priest provoked Annabelle at the Warrens' house by throwing her across the room and telling her she had no power there. On the way home, he was involved in an accident and his car was completely totaled. Apparently, he was lucky to have walked away from it alive. Later, the priest returned to their house and he was in a room with artifacts, and a necklace exploded in front of him. So Annabelle, not a fan of priests. So after all of that, the Warrens finally locked Annabelle in the positively do not open case. But even from her box, Annabelle managed to cause mayhem. One rumor says that a group of college students was touring the Warrens' home, and when they came upon Annabelle's box, one brash college student began banging on the box, asking Annabelle to show him her powers, that he didn't believe she had any powers. The Warrens warned him to be careful on the way home. Sadly, he was killed in a motorcycle accident. I'm going to try to finish this because I'm starting to freak myself out already. Again, this is why I can't sleep. So, right now, Annabelle is on the Devil on the Run tour, and some things have happened that people are tying to Annabelle. I don't think there's any way you can say for sure Annabelle did it, but a plantation burned down, and some prisoners escaped, and a lot of people are saying this is because Annabelle. Both instances occurred in Louisiana, where Annabelle just happened to be at the time. So, was it Annabelle? Coincidence? I don't know. One of my favorite Annabelle facts is that they sold Annabelle brand vodka. They made 666 bottles, appropriately, and they were all aged near Annabelle's case. The bottles came in their own special packaging with a Ouija board on the top and special gloves for handling the liquor. One bottle cost $300, and I'm sure it was like bottom shelf liquor. I don't think this was high dollar vodka. One special bottle was actually aged in Annabelle's cabinet, and it cost $13,000. It was the 666th bottle, actually. And it sold, all the vodka sold out. I checked the price again. It might have been $199. It was somewhere between $200 and $300. When I was researching this, a lot of sources pointed out how unreliable the Warrens can be, especially in relation to their involvement with the Amityville house, and I recommend you look that up. It's very interesting. Also, several sources pointed out the uncanny resemblance to the Annabelle story to a Twilight Zone episode that aired, I believe, in the 50s, named Talkie Tina. It's an excellent episode, and you should absolutely go watch that too. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm getting really freaked out talking about it. It's 10 o'clock at night. I won't be sleeping. I'm like looking behind me like, are they moving? I hope not. I'm Jill, and this is why I can't sleep.